Hi, here we are for step number 3. So we've created our tip, we've done that on both sides, and we'll need to keep working at that as we are making our reed. But the next step I want to show you is the different elements. So we need to start stripping cane from the rest of the reed. Now this is where it gets a little bit tricky because we can't take off too much from one place, but we need to cut out basically what you would call a template. So like as if you were making a dress or something, you would have a template. We're going to have to start making a template from scratch, and this is why it's tricky, okay, because you basically can't see anything at the moment. So I'm going to draw them on for you again so you can see them. So I'm going to draw out where the spine would be. You might want to do this to help you on your first attempt. So this is the spine down the centre, obviously, and we tend to try and avoid the spine at the beginning when we're first cutting out the template, because the spine gives the reed shape. So if we take off too much of the spine, it will collapse and it won't keep that nice crescent shape when, in the opening of the reed. So avoid that bit for the beginning. The other bit we tend to try and avoid right at the beginning is the heart. Now that sits just in front of the spine like a little circle or oval shape, and that's the heart. And then the other two areas we have are the shoulders, which run down the edges. So I've just drawn those on for you. I don't know if there's any better over here. Yes. And basically what we're going to do, in order to avoid the spine and the heart, what we tend to do when we first start scraping is that V shape that I told you in the adjustment video. So we're going from the back, we just V from the centre of the back outwards. So V, I do them in sort of set strokes, and I sort of do the same amount of strokes on one side as the other. So remember, we're always keeping things equal. So I'm going to take one side from the other, and I'm going to start cutting away at the reed. And then when I see it approaching the same thickness as my tip, I tend to then take a little bit more off the tip, because the tip should always be thinner than everything else, okay? So I'm going to take a little bit more off my tip, making sure that I come right off the end so I don't have any lumps or bumps, okay? And then V's again, V, V, V. And I should end up with a reed that looks like it's got a sort of big American style W scrape with a big thick spine down the middle, and even some pencil work here that's not been touched. Okay, that's because I've been avoiding the essential bits. Now that's basically the template cut out, and you just keep going round that template again and again and again. Now eventually you do have to take the spine off, just a little bit, but obviously overall it will be thicker, and also the heart will be thicker than the rest of the reed, so we can get it down to that final adjustment stage in the other video where it's just about blowing. So you just want to take it to there and then watch the other video for the final steps. So I'm going to keep going. Obviously once you've done one side, then do the other side. So you're going to do both, and then we should get to the point where the tip is thin enough to cut. And what we're going to do is do the final bits of the reed with a cut tip and a plaque in the centre. So I'm going to start hacking at my tip a little bit more, keeping that crescent moon shape, really all important crescent moon shape, and then taking the V, 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 and then I'm going to start taking a small amount off the spine and the heart just to equal out. But I can tell that it's still nice and thick because it's a much deeper yellow colour than the sort of approaching whitish colour that we're getting in the other areas, which I've scraped more. So I'm going to show you that in just a second, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to see, but obviously it's very difficult to see what's going on. So if you want to remind yourself of things, just keep drawing on your spine, keep drawing on your heart and your shoulders, and aim for the shoulders and aim for the tip over. And then what we want to do is keep a nice smooth gradient between the whole thing. So you can use a bit of wet and dry at this stage, even at this stage, just to keep things smooth and not lumpy, because lumps cause the sound to stop when we're playing. So I've smoothed it out, and that's basically step number 3. Hi, so here we are for the final step, step number 4. So we should have cut out our basic shape on both sides, and we should have the tip now very, very thin at the top, to the point where, you know, we can take it off without cracking the reed in half. So there's a couple of ways you can do it. Some people like to get sort of one of these slim metal plaques and then wedge it between the two blades and pull it upwards just to break up the top, and then they continue to work and then cut it down to size later. Some people cut it down to size straight away using a chopping block and a sharp Stanley knife, marking out where it is, drawing the line, and then slicing. But obviously I've got a little guillotine, so I like to use my little tip cutter here. So I set it to the right length, stick it in, and then just chop the top. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've got one of these Riga ones. I've also got a Reeds and Stuff one. They're both good. And I literally just put it in the machine when it's ready and just snip the tip at this point. Now, basically we're at the final stage now, so just get a nice plaque. I quite like my favourite plaque is this one, mainly because you can actually see through the reed quite well, because it almost highlights the reed like one of these light up plaques. So it's quite nice. And basically just neaten everything up and make sure the tip is intact. So once you've snipped the tip, you might have ended up with your tip being too small, so you might have to push things back a little bit. That's happened to me, so my tip is basically gone. So I'm going to recreate a tip now, which is a bit of a pain, but you know. The way you can avoid having to do it twice is just mark out exactly the length before you start, and then create your tip at the beginning stages based on how long it's going to be. So if you put a little marker on the edges, for example, you could then work out what your tip's going to be from there, which is probably preferable really. And then just basically get it down to, just keep going until it makes a sound, until it makes a little tiny parp noise, until you can get something out of it. And then at that stage, that's when we do the fine tuning, and you need to watch the next video. So that's basically how to get a reed going from scratch. If you like this video, please like my YouTube page, but also please do visit ionareed.co.uk, and you can get all your supplies for doing any of these things from there. Really good quality cane and good quality materials.